Hi, it's tutorial times. We're creating this beautiful geometry nodes animation with camera, animation, and shading. And we're gonna learn hopefully a lot here, and I hope someone can learn something from it. Here's what we'll learn. Here are the buttons that I press on the right side. We start by creating a UV sphere, and we rotate it on the x-axis, Rx90. Go to X-ray view with Alt-Z and select the central faces, vertices, and delete them. Now select with number 3, select only the faces that you want to stay with Alt, and Control I to invert the rotation, and delete faces. Select everything with A, and extrude with E. Tab to go to object mode, and shade smooth, and subdivide with Control 2. Now we have our central geometry, and we go to Geometry Nodes tab. I'm adding instances to the circle. You can choose whatever geometry you want, it won't be shown. Add search for instances on points, and we have on the left side our geometry input and what happens to geometry, and we have geometry output. So we're starting by adding instances on points, and to add the geometry that we've built, we just transfer it from this side to Geometry Nodes tab and plug geometry into instances. Now hide the original geometry. Also, don't forget to hide it in the render view, otherwise it will show. It's right to the right of the eye, and now we can animate. Yay! We plug the rotation into geometry input so it shows in the modifiers tab, and then we can animate from there. We go to animation tab and we click on the keyframe and adding the same one to the end so it loops. Just choose and play around and choose whatever rotation you want. I was playing around with Y and Z axis, XI. And just play around, see what you like. It looks like it needs a sphere in the middle. Choose your animation time. Loop every first frame on every thing that you've changed, and it is done for the most part. Now to add lighting to the scene, we add an HDRI. If you don't know what it is, go to YouTube. You just download it and you just open it in World Properties. Now we're adding a UV sphere in the middle. I found this beautiful HDRI of sky and shaded smooth the sphere, and we add an emission to it in material properties. If it does not really is not a light, then you go to this tab here and you turn all these properties on, especially the bloom one. Make sure it does not go through the geometry. And now we can shade our central geometry. The YouTube tutorial that I'm following is by Daki3D, and I will link it in the description. We add first an emission. We work with principal BSDF, we do not delete it. And we add mix shader to connect emission with principal BSDF together. And choose different colors for emission and principal. Add color ramp so it plugs into a factor, and we play around with how much of which we want. It does not show because I've forgotten to add set material node and geometry nodes. Choose the material that we've created, and now it will be showing. It's not only like on the sides which I wanted, so we are adding layers weights, and we plug facing into face. And choosing pretty colors. And now it looks perfect. And now we can add recursion to it. Add whatever the geometry you want to spread. Our first geometry on is instances and points. I chose icosphere. And we go once again to geometry nodes tab and add once again instances and points. And now we're going to be plugging our first geometry nodes to our circle as instance. And once again, don't forget to hide the original geometry, also in render view. And once again, you can play around with it. Don't forget to hide it, otherwise it shows up in the render. So now that the animation itself is finished, I've saved the file with no camera animation first, so I can render it later as a still frame, like still camera animation. And then we're gonna animate it. Make sure it renders as a video. Make sure the color somewhere there, the quality is perceptually lossless. And I'm rendering in the EV. Yeah, also I'm animating the sphere so it looks prettier. And I'm just gonna paste through it because it's pretty basic. Make sure it's looping so the animation is looping, and just play around. I made sure to hide it, kind of as if it is eaten by the geometry. Render an image to check that everything looks as it looks. And that's the inspiration for rotating the camera. choose camera, go to animation tab, go to view, click on camera to view, then you can just rotate from alt numpad 0. Just choosing whatever the view you like and adding a keyframe with I for rotation and location. Make sure it's looping, and there is a better way to do it, but I've done it this way. If it's too close you've already added the keyframes, you can choose focal length to be a bit different. If you want to, you can also play around with depth of field, which I've also done, but it is not necessary, so I do not show, because there is no change basically. And make sure to save it in a different file, and you can render it. Then if you add two animations together with still camera and animated camera, it is finished. Thank you for your time. I hope it taught you something, or at least shown you some pretty things. Bye!